Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar regarding the Fostering Success Fund, Partnerships for Reducing Law Enforcement Involvement. And wanted to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Dixon. I'm with the Continuum Care Reform Branch in the California Department of Social Services. Wanted to also apologize for the technical difficulties that we experienced in our last webinar that we had. So let's go ahead and get started. Wanted to provide background on the purpose of AB 1811. So AB 1811 has tasked the Department of Social Services to allocate funds to chosen lead agencies developing programs specific to AB 1811's goals. And so this act of 2018 appropriated a total of $4 million general fund statewide for the purpose of providing training and community-based culturally relevant trauma-informed services in order to reduce law enforcement involvement with residential facilities. And so a focus on this is ensuring that primary interventions are used prior to contacting law enforcement. So statute isn't mentioning or stating that law enforcement contact shouldn't be had entirely, rather just ensuring that interventions such as trauma-informed strategies are used prior to relying primarily on law enforcement. And so we get a lot of questions on who is eligible and who's not eligible. So to lay it out, county child welfare departments, county probation, county public health departments, and private nonprofit CBOs with experience providing social and mental health services to youth and families are eligible, but licensed group homes, short-term residential therapeutic programs, transitional shelter care facilities, and temporary shelter care facilities are not eligible. So a brief further overview of the purpose of this funding. So we want to improve outcomes for at-risk youth. And at-risk youth can be defined as youth that are in foster care facilities who might often be experiencing a wide array of trauma. And unfortunately, although there might be behaviors that providers might feel law enforcement contact might need to be contacted, instead trauma-informed resources should be used prior to that. And so we wanted to ensure that increased collaboration with local organizations, agencies, providers, and community groups within this funding is used, and we want to rely on trauma-informed interventions prior to that contact. Why is this important? So I wanted to lay out three key aspects of AB 1811: trauma, youth, and an example of an intervention or a resource that we suggest providers, CBOs, and community groups, as well as counties use, ACEs. And so traumatic experiences lead to frequent law enforcement involvement. Youth in foster care are especially vulnerable to being referred to law enforcement for low-level offenses. And ACEs, I would absolutely suggest that providers or anyone interested in applying to this funding look into ACEs and other trauma-informed interventions just to kind of understand further a lot of the resources that are available. And the RFI that we will be releasing should provide more information moving forward, but just kind of wanted to lay that out. And also later on we'll be providing some resources that are available. The ACIN that we released last year on trauma-informed interventions within foster family agencies and short-term residential therapeutic programs will provide a lot of information on any interventions that providers or anyone providers interested in working with CBOs or any agencies interested in applying would like to look into. So that should be later on in this video. So the plan requirements of this, we highlighted that in our ACIN, but just to kind of provide more detail on this, wanted to lay it out here. It's a lot of words, but it's a good resource to have. So to be considered for this funding, I won't read everything. but just wanted to kind of highlight a few key points. Braided or matching county funds of at least 25% should be present just to ensure that anyone applying provides evidence of working with the county, as the county should be involved in this process. And an MOU with local law enforcement, assuring that law enforcement participation in the training and diversion protocols. So ensuring that any lead agency planning on applying works with their local law enforcement. And just although if a plan does not include a direct MOU, they may be considered, but the plans that include that will have priority. So just keep that in mind in applying. And then also just having direct coordination with identified residential facilities. This funding is to ensure that youth in facilities have resources and are able to, and providers are able to use primary interventions instead of relying primarily on law enforcement contact. Not to say, once again, that law enforcement contact isn't, we're not saying that law enforcement contact shouldn't be used at all. We're just trying to ensure that primary interventions are used prior to that. And then also youth educational well-being outcome measures that will be developed in coordination with the department. So just highlighting that within the program. And once again, I'll provide my information later on. If there are any further questions, I'm happy to answer those. So references that I'd mentioned prior, the reduction in frequency of law enforcement, ACIN, that we released last, I believe it was November, and then the requirements for trauma-informed core services and training for STRTPs and FFAs. Excellent resources. We will be providing this PowerPoint just as a PDF. If anyone wants to click on these links, they'll be available. And updated timelines. Our RFI, unfortunately, the dates changed from when we last released this webinar, or when we conducted it last, but we are still in the process of internal review of the RFI, and it will be released in early March, and the RFI will be due in around April. The original due date was around February, and we understand. So we apologize for any inconvenience, or the shifting timelines are unfortunate, but also wanted to reiterate that these dates are subject to change due to shifting timelines. So as a result, the department's not able to provide additional dates at this time, but more information will be provided on the CCR website. So that link is there as well, and you're welcome to take a look. And time for question and answer. So we had a few questions in our last webinar, and I know that we answered them, but I wanted to have another outlet for just answering them once again, just to ensure that clear responses are given. And once again, if anyone has further questions, they can email me, and we'll be providing a list of frequently asked questions on the website later on. So that will be available as well. So our first question was, will there be an additional webinar once the RFI is released? No, there won't be an additional webinar, but once again, we are open to any questions that are asked, and my information is available, so you are welcome to contact me. How do we learn about the RFI once it is released? How will people be notified? So Contracts has their own process. I believe it's called eProcure, and that's how the information will be provided. But we will be emailing folks once the RFI is posted, and we will be doing that via the, I believe, the CCR communications mailbox. So we'll be doing that and also posting it on the CCR website, so that'll be available. Is the PowerPoint in the webinar the same as the webinar in the attachment? Yes, but please keep in mind this PowerPoint hasn't really been changed except for the date, so it's the same PowerPoint as the last one, except for the timelines have changed once again. So Are county-run TSCF agencies eligible given they are mandated by new laws of 1811? No, but TSCFs are encouraged to work with agencies that are given funding. Will you be publishing a list of all participants in the webinar to assist potential applicants to reach out to develop collaborative relationships? No, we'll not be publishing a list of participants due to confidentiality, but we suggest that lead agencies reach out to any organizations they feel would provide beneficial partnership. And so that's a great segue for me to reiterate that we really, really, really encourage providers to work with lead agencies in any way possible, as this funding is for youth in these in foster care facilities. And so just ensuring that providers are collaborating and wanted to increase partnership and collaboration amongst the provider community, CBOs, youth organizations, counties. That list isn't exhaustive, just a few examples. Are foster family agencies eligible to apply? Yes, they are. If providers can apply, could they be part of the collaboration if county agency takes the lead role? Yes, providers should be part of the collaboration. Can a THP Plus program apply for funds? I believe so, but keep in mind that this is meant as a community-based service, and so this is not an extension of an existing program, so just please highlight in your plan that this plan illustrates that it benefits the community and not just an extension of a program that's already existing. Is a church with nonprofit status who is providing mental health education services eligible to apply? Yes, but the church, it cannot be a religious-based service, and it can't discriminate based on religion. So it must be open to serving all. Is a group home that is contracted with the Department of Behavioral Health to provide Medi-Cal reimbursable services eligible to apply? If you are a licensed group home, you are not eligible to apply. What if we are a private multi-service organization that provides mental health services to children and families, and we operate an STRTP as one of our programs? Are we eligible to apply? If you are licensed as an STRTP, you are not eligible to apply, but if you apply as a mental health program, an FFA, or a CBO, then you are eligible. Next question. Can multiple agencies, for example, health, CWS, probation, apply together? Yes, as long as each agency meets the criteria, yes. How competitive will this funding be? ACIN states that the focus will be on and prioritize youth living in areas with the highest rate of crossover and dual status youth. The funding is competitive, but it's dependent on who applies, so the focus and priority will be on youth living in areas with highest rate of crossover and dual status youth, yes. Another question on, would there be an issue for a county child welfare agency that submits as a lead agency but also runs an STRTP? Once again, if you're licensed as an STRTP, you're not eligible to apply, but if you are applying as a county child welfare agency, you're eligible, but the funding must not be for the STRTP. The funding should be for the community, not just as an extension of an existing program in an STRTP or any other facility. Next question. Have specific counties been identified where the lead agencies need to be from? Yes, the department is in the process of compiling this data. I've been taking a look at that and just figuring out which counties have had the highest identified need. Why are STRTPs not eligible? If you have questions on this, I'd take a look at the statute. AB 1811 provides further clarification, and just within statute, it's STRTPs are not eligible. Group homes that are transitioning to foster care, are they allowed to apply? Once again, if you're licensed as a group home, you are not eligible to apply. Is there an expectation that plans include both training as well as the development of diversion programs similar to those included as examples in the ACIN? Yes, absolutely, and the ACIN is linked, so if anyone wants clarification on what that question means, there are examples provided in the ACIN. When do you expect a determination to be made on the applications? I believe this is the final question. Determination will be made once the department has had a chance to review all of the documents, so we are unfortunately not able to provide a date at this time. And so that concludes our webinar. If there are further questions, concerns, or need clarification, you're welcome to contact me. My name is Sarah Dixon, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.